Let's be blunt. When I look at Nightrein, I don't really see a Soulslike. What I do see is a subscription funnel wearing a dark fantasy mask. Look closer and it just reeks of corporate prototyping. You get the feeling it's a multiplayer first skeleton probably built to test Duskbloods, the high profile FromSoftware exclusive being forced by Nintendo to have multiplayer specifically to sell online subscriptions for the Switch 2. All the while, telling a story was never really the point. It's all setup and no payoff. Like if Ground Zeroes, if the Phantom Pain never came out. It feels like a mood board for monetization, or maybe a tech demo they decided to sell. And the worst part, it feels soulless, and that seems to be intentional. Nightrein isn't trying to create emotional resonance, it's chasing engagement metrics. Its co-op feels like it was designed in a spreadsheet, sterile, fragmented, and spiritually vacant. You never get the feeling of bonding with someone, you just queue. You're not really exploring, you're session hopping. The multiplayer is just a button you click in a menu, not an experience you'll remember. But Duskbloods, it still has a chance to rebel. If Duskbloods wants to matter, to haunt players the way Souls games do, it needs to steal the soul of Yui's seamless co-op mod for Dark Souls 3. I'm not talking about the systems, I'm talking about the whole philosophy. Because seamless co-op did more than just fix multiplayer. It turned it into a ritual, into folklore, into quiet companionship in a dying world. It made silence feel sacred. It made grief feel shared. It made every bonfire a promise. You don't have to face this alone. That's the blueprint. We don't need Nightrein's matchmaking treadmill. We don't need more roguelike resets. We don't need battle royale chaos. Duskbloods doesn't need to be innovative. It just needs to feel intimate. Dark Souls 3 co-op, especially through Yui's seamless co-op mod, doesn't function like a typical feature. It shapes the entire rhythm of how you experience the world. It turns loneliness into connection. It reshapes the Souls formula into a solitary test of endurance, into a shared ritual of persistence, laughter, and discovery. In the Dark Souls 3 mod, co-op means inhabiting the same world as your friends. Summoning feels less like calling for help and more like opening a door between realities. It's chaotic, it's intimate, and sometimes it's downright absurd. I remember one of my friends camping on a ladder, refusing to move, forcing me to fall to my death. Another time, someone accidentally blocked a ledge and sent me into the abyss when I tried to squeeze past. Technically grieving, but in practice, hilarious. Moments like these turn frustration into folklore. Every death becomes a story, every boss fight becomes choreography. One player tanks, another flanks. Someone heals? Sure, it's easier with allies, but it's also more strategic. You're managing aggro, timing your strikes, trusting each other to hold the line when everything goes sideways. And then there are the quiet moments, sitting at a bonfire while someone goes AFK, watching the fog roll in, saying nothing at all, just existing together in a dying world. That's the magic. Dark Souls 3 seamless co-op doesn't just let you survive the world, it lets you inhabit it. Seamless co-op works because it taps into something primal, shared vulnerability. You and your friends face impossible odds together, and that struggle builds trust. Dying alone is tense. Dying together, weirdly joyful. It's a form of emergent storytelling. You don't just play the game, you live it. Every ladder prank, every botched dodge, every clutch save becomes legend. Solo runs are introspective. Co-op turns the game into a social ritual, a chaotic, cathartic dance of camaraderie. The weight of Dark Souls 3 co-op isn't measured in enemies defeated, but in a silent understanding. Difficulty gave it structure, emotion gave it gravity. Yui's seamless co-op mod didn't just fix multiplayer, it reimagined it. No summon signs, no fog walls, no disconnections, just a continuous shared adventure. Progress is synced. Every victory matters. Every death stings. Both players breathe the same tension, the same silence, and the same awe. It's a partnership written moment by moment, unspoken but unmistakable. Instead of thinning the mood, co-op saturates it. Every ember's glow feels earned. Where other systems fracture immersion, this one folds you deeper into the fog. It's the clearest expression of FromSoftware's design ethos, a quiet connection in a broken world. Nightrein feels like it was built in a different spirit entirely. It's fragmented, session-based, and emotionally sterile. Exploration turns procedural. The sense of arrival replaced by the sound of a matchmaking chime. Moments are traded for milestones, each encounter calibrated for retention instead of remembrance. Its structure severs immersion. Sessions end before bonds can form. Resets erase continuity. What's left is technically functional, but spiritually vacant. Nightrein didn't misunderstand Soulsborne's difficulty. It misunderstood its soul entirely. Its flaw isn't incompetence, rather it's intent. There's a difference between failing to connect and never trying to in the first place. Ironically, the ones preserving FromSoftware's legacy aren't studios, they're modders. Players like Yui, who evolves the Souls multiplayers not for profit, but for love. Mods like Seamless Co-op are grassroots innovation. They're not built around retention metrics or subscription models. They're crafted with care, curiosity, and reverence. They prioritize immersion, agency, and emotional depth. Everything Nightrein left behind. That's the difference between corporate design and community creativity. One chases engagement, the other cultivates meaning. Here's a thought, and it might stir debate. Nightrein feels like a test, a prototype. Look closely and it reads like a proof of concept for something bigger, maybe a Switch 2 exclusive. Nintendo knows the Souls fan base is loyal. A FromSoftware title could sell consoles by itself, but there's a catch: multiplayer. Nintendo's been pushing its online service hard. A Souls-style game built around the multiplayer-first design would drive subscriptions. Add in the bundled cameras, shipping with the Switch 2, mimicking the Kinect and Xbox One. And pair that with Nintendo's push for connected play, turning even Mario Kart into something that feels more Forza Horizon, and suddenly, the whole picture starts to make sense. Viewed through that lens, Nightrein feels less like an artistic statement and more like a corporate experiment, a ground zeros to some hypothetical Metal Gear Solid 5. What makes it hollow isn't a lack of polish, it's a lack of purpose. There's a difference between a game that stumbles while reaching for something meaningful and one that never reaches it at all. If I could shape Duskbloods, it wouldn't be a roguelike or a battle royale. It would be Bloodborne reimagined through the lens of seamless co-op. Picture it, you and your friends exploring a gothic city together, uncovering lore, battling nightmares, laughing through your inevitable deaths. Every hunt shared, every discovery mutual, every victory earned through trust. In Bloodborne, you're not a fragile undead, you're a hunter. You're meant to be powerful, to dominate the nightmare. Co-op fits that fantasy. It amplifies the lore's sense of a shared madness, a pack of hunters unraveling together under the moonlight. That's what Duskbloods could be. Not a product chasing trends, but a journey built around human connection. If I could offer one piece of advice to the developers of Duskbloods, it would be this: design co-op as a shared journey, not a matchmaking feature. Hire Yui if you have to. Multiplayer shouldn't be a menu. It should be a bond, a promise that no one has to face the dark alone. That's what Dark Souls 3 Seamless Co-op mod taught me. Its co-op didn't make the game easier, it made it richer. Every summon sign was a silent gesture of hope. Every runback, a ritual. Every boss fight, a test of trust. It wasn't just multiplayer, it was lore and labyrinths with friends.
Yeah, just be bait. There we go.